All right, so if you're like me, I'm going to share with you something that you will not want to hear. But once you hear it and take it on, you will be so glad. And that is that the number one secret for any excellent public speaker is practice. It's the number one secret for anything. One of the reasons that we call people naturally talented, I think, is because we just don't want to practice as hard as they did to become naturally talented. There's no such thing as naturally talented. We have like 2 instincts as human beings, and then the rest of it, I think, is learned. So if you want to make a huge difference with how things are going to go over, here's the secret. Get your talk done right away. Give yourself a week, maybe 2, to finish that talk. And then take the next 2.5 months before you have to speak and practice, practice, practice. And here's one of the big, huge keys of practicing. Practicing in my book means doing the entire thing out loud. And yes, you can practice the beginning and the end even more, so you don't have to do the whole thing to practice just the beginning or to practice just the end. But to make the whole thing really excellent, practice means out loud all the way through, not out loud and then stopping, and if you make a mistake, you stop and start again. No, I played in a band for a long time, and it's not like I'm super talented as a musician. There were people that were far more talented than I was, but they would never make it all the way through a song. They would play it perfectly till the point it wasn't perfect, then they'd stop, go back, start again. I got pretty good at just keeping going when I made a mistake. And that's something that I think is really important when you're practicing too, because on stage, you'll not get the opportunity to stop and start again. You got to keep going. So once you've got that speech ready and you're practicing, practice it out loud, go all the way through the whole thing without stopping a number of times. And when you take that stage, you will be so happy you did. So now though, let me nip something in the bud, because when I tell people practice, 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 what people often say is, but John, I could never be that spontaneous and that wonderful and that present if I had practiced a lot. Okay, well, yes, you could. Here's what happens. When people practice a lot, they get to a thing that, in honor of Chris Anderson of TED, I call the valley of awkwardness. That place where you've practiced so much, it looks like you practiced a lot. Well, the only way to get across the valley of awkwardness is, you got it, more practice. Just keep practicing. And at a certain point, you'll reach a point where you have practiced so much that it seems like you didn't practice at all, and yet you'll be able to be fully present with the audience because you won't be worried about what you're going to say next or thinking about that and umming and ahhing as you try to remember what comes next. You'll just flow through this whole thing because you've practiced it out loud so much that it seems like you didn't practice. And believe me, when you get on the stage and you've practiced and practiced and practiced so much that it looks like you didn't practice, you'll be excited enough to have that spontaneity and that excitement and that passion of yours come through. So practice, practice, practice out loud.